this is a very interesting matchup here, AJ. Not only because these are some names that you don't really hear of too often, right? But last time that we heard about Ryan Benoit, he actually missed weight or missed weight for his fight with Zarrukh Adashev, man. And I thought that it was one of those Julia Stoliarenko type situations where they had to bring the commission to like hold them up on the scale and all that. Like it was a scary situation. And speaking of weight cuts, just really quickly, new documentary coming out. I don't remember the name, but it's featuring Nico Montano, who's fighting on this card, and about when she missed weight against Valentina Shevchenko and was hospitalized, and it was this crazy weight cut situation. It's going to be coming out soon. Just keep your eye on that, folks. But anyway, so we got the baby face. Ryan Benoit opens up as a minus 125 favorite with a plus 105 comeback against the Lion, Zarrukh Adashev, man. So we have a kickboxer versus a wrestler striker, and this is going to be interesting to me because both of these fighters have had a lot of time to prepare against each other. They were supposed to fight back in March, I believe, something like that. You know what I'm saying? But here we are a couple months later, and I want your opinion on this, AJ. You have a three-time All-State high school wrestling champ out of Texas, which is very prominent, prestigious in terms of any type of combat sports, and Ryan Benoit versus a 16-3 kickboxer with 10 knockouts in Zarrukh Adashev. Who has the advantage on paper, AJ?
This one's a weird one because Ryan Benoit really likes to stay back and has a bomb of a right hand, but depends heavily on his wrestling. Whereas Zarrukh Adashev, like you said, man, that kickboxing is crazy, and he has serious power in his overhand. Likes to throw those big hooks and overhand punches. Man, he carries serious power in him. As far as who has the advantage, I'm gonna have to go. Advantage goes to Benoit, just because of that ground game. Literally, we've seen how advantageous the ground game can be, and when Benoit's able to get you down and get the wrestling going, he's a serious killer out there. He does stay a little bit patient for my liking, and he needs to start throwing more combos than just single punches out there, because that's what he tends to do. Tends to lean on his power and just throw single punches. Whereas Zarrukh, this dude is serious in the combos, man. He likes to wait for the big shot to advance, but when he does, he's throwing ones and twos and threes all the way down, and is very, very good counter strike when he throws the blitz in. So if I had to give the advantage to anybody overall, I'm going Benoit. But in the certain little aspects, they both have their very very distinct styles in which they go. Which one? Who would you give the advantage to, Derek?
Well, I'm not only giving the advantage to Ryan Benoit simply because I think that having that wrestling that you can always fall back on is very, very important, especially when you're fighting someone who's really well versed in striking and kickboxing in Adashev. Literally, this dude was a two-time regional kickboxing champion and a kickboxing champion, ISKA USA kickboxing champion out of Glory, which is kind of interesting. I didn't know it really worked that way, but nonetheless, man, you falling back on that is always important in case you start getting pieced up. However, the other thing we have to account for is Benoit has a lot more experience. He has 17 career fights. Adashev only has 3 in terms of mixed martial arts specifically. Like we already noted, he does have an extensive kickboxing career. But let's just talk about the people that Ryan Benoit has fought really quickly, AJ. His last 2 are actually really interesting because he has a loss to Tim Elliott, which I think, given a little more volume, he definitely could have won. Elliott just volumed his way to a victory on that one. Haley Alatang, that's another one where it's like, dude, you just got to throw more and you can have the victory. And really interesting because he has a split decision loss against the baby assassin or assassin baby, Brandon Moreno, which that should just tell you everything you need to know about the man. The man could compete. He's fallen just a little short every time, but the man can compete. Now, I agree with you, AJ. Benoit, he is one-shot minded and he relies on landing that knockout punch. So volume is the main issue that I have. But let's talk about his BJJ chops. And this is where I think this fight is heading, man. So Adashev, we have yet to see him wrestle in the UFC yet, you know what I'm saying? So I'm really interested to see how that's going to play out. And when we know that Ryan Benoit, he is a BJJ purple belt who is trained with the Danaher Death Squad, man, over there with John Danaher and Gary Tonin. If you don't know who any of those people are, you don't know anything about BJJ because these are some of the greatest. So John Danaher, arguably the greatest mind in modern day Brazilian jiu-jitsu practicing, you know, all of that stuff. And Gary Tonin, he's right up there with the Gordon Ryans and the Craig Joneses of the best modern BJJ players right now. So all that aside, AJ, I just want to know, do you think that Adashev, because we don't know, literally, this is just a big question mark right there. Do you think that he's going to have the takedown defense to be able to keep this fight on the feet and fight his kickboxing fight?
I don't think so, man. I don't think so, especially being so well developed in the kickboxing. He never really had to work on it, being 3-3 in the UFC or in his pro MMA career. I don't really think he's ever been tested quite like that. I know a lot of losses he has, or counter right for the counter right from Tyson Nam, as well as the Sue Mudaerji decision. We didn't really see much of it. We didn't really see much of a takedown defense or anything like that. And as far as how skilled Benoit is in that, I think that's a game plan for easy victory on Benoit's side, man. Take him down, beat him up, and especially because a lot of the way Benoit loses is because what we've been talking about, that lack of pressure. Whereas Zarrukh, man, this dude, he can easily piece you up from the outside. They're both the same height, but actually Benoit has the reach advantage. It's going to be interesting. I definitely think we're not going to see that much pressure fighter out of Benoit. We're going to see a lot more big shots coming in for the takedown. I don't think Zarrukh has anywhere near the chops to be able to stop the takedown. What do you think?
You know what, man? I would agree early on. I think Benoit's going to be able to like plug the wrestling very, very early on and really try to make it happen. However, what did we see against Tim Elliott in Benoit's last fight, man? Third round came about, man, started to slow down very substantially. And if you slow down against Adashev, what do we always say? You always tell me this. You're like, hey, man, every single round starts on the feet. So you're going to have to work to get the takedown. And come round 3, if he can't get the takedown, Adashev, that might be his best chance at trying to just get the knockout, land the big left overhand, you know what I'm saying? Because Adashev is a southpaw, so that's something we need to take into consideration. This is a southpaw orthodox matchup. So one thing that is going to be open for Adashev, I believe, is the body kick as well, man. You know, that mean Giga kick, you know? So in terms of significant strikes landed per minute, Benoit does land just a little bit of a higher clip than Adashev. However, I mean, Adashev doesn't have nearly as much experience in the UFC as a Benoit does. And lastly, one big notable win for Ryan Benoit that we haven't talked about. Yeah, we talked about notable losses, right? He has a win over Sergio Pettis, the current Bellator bantamweight champion right there, man. So it's like, this dude is game. He's really big, really explosive. I just worry about the cardio. So with that all being said, AJ, we know that Adashev is going to have to fight behind, something, big hooks or something. He's going to have the reach disadvantage. And we know, I think he's the only Uzbek fighter in the UFC right now. Who wins this fight, AJ, and why?
I'm going with the experience of Ryan Benoit, man. I don't think Zarrukh has been tested enough, and this is going to be a real deal test for him going forward, because if he's able to get this win, man, it's going to speak levels to his skill, especially if he's able to defend the takedown and keep this thing on the feet. But me personally, I think Benoit's going to lead the dance. I think he's going to apply the pressure, get the takedown, hopefully not just start searching for that one big shot and actually kind of throw some combos, but we'll see. Time will tell on that one. I got Ryan Benoit by decision. Who you got, Derek, and why?
I'm going Ryan Benoit as well. I think the wrestling is going to be just a little bit too much, and I do think that hopefully the cardio will hold up. Clearly, I have my worries about that. You know what I'm saying? I can't predict the future. I can only make my best estimation, but I think that Ryan Benoit gets it done TKO round 3. I think that he's going to stay on top of him, wear him out, and it might be one of those you just throw in too much and Adashev shells up, and they just call it, TKO style. You know what I'm saying? So interesting matchup for sure, man. Like, if you don't know about these cats, man, this is one of those, like, we're telling you right now, you got to tune into this matchup, man. It's going to be a very, very good contest.